Good afternoon. This is Travis with Oscar Mike Radio. Having a great time today. I'm just loving life and what's going on. This is number 204. And before I get into my special guests, I want to give a shout out to my sponsors, Joyce Asack of Asack Real Estate, Mark Holmes of Reaper Detailing and Power Washing, and Sean Schubert of Red Seal Martial Arts. And I'm not wearing an Oscar Mike Radio shirt today. I'm wearing a lovely shirt that I got from a dear friend of mine, Yasmin from Yaz's Table in Abington, Massachusetts. Great shirt, great food. You don't pass that up if you're in the area. So thank you very much. I'm joined for part one of my series, thanks to Andrew Farr, who's from the Nashville area. I'm joined by Bobbi Smith-Taylor, who is the coordinator for Irreverent Warriors Chattanooga in Tennessee. Bobbi, welcome to Oscar Mike Radio.
Thanks, Travis. Thanks for having me.
This is great. You know, I talked to Andrew about a year ago about Irreverent Warriors, and I've just seen your state really embrace this movement. And if I understand it correctly, next week, you're going to have the first hike of 2020 in Tennessee. Is that correct?
Yes, Saturday the 22nd.
Saturday the 22nd. So even with COVID and all that stuff going on, Tennessee said, you know what, we're going to get our stuff together. We're going to be irreverent. And we're going to do this thing. And you're first up. How do you feel about that?
I'm nervous. I will be honest. Okay. Yes, I'm very nervous. Well, this is, my first hike coordinating. I've done 2 other hikes, as a participant. But actually being the coordinator and being responsible for how everything is going to go it's a little nerve-wracking.
So before we get to the hike, let's go back a little bit. We're both Marines. Hoorah. What did you do in the Marine Corps?
I was an admin clerk. I was an 0151.
Telling you what, people might snicker about that, folks. Let me tell you what, when you get your pay wrong, you realize how important a good admin is.
Right.
When you need to get leave and the first sergeant tells you, you don't have any leave days, and you're quaking. We had to do ops in the field. We made sure you guys are taken care of.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. We do feel sometimes like the redheaded stepchild. No pun intended with my red hair, but seriously.
Oh. So, I'm going to ask this now. I'm always curious, and some, I still call you all WMs, and don't get all, fired. That's what we were taught to do when I was in. But I always have to think, and just tell me here, Bobbi, do you feel that you have a little inside track on how the male mind works because you actually, served with us guys? Do you think you have us figured out better than the, woman who didn't serve in the military?
I wouldn't say that I have you figured out completely. However, I grew up with 5 brothers.
Oh boy.
No sisters. And then I have a son, and my husband is a Marine, and our son is also a Marine.
Oh, wow.
So being around, men, guys, my whole life, because, trust me, when I was growing up, if I wanted to do something, I had to do what my brothers wanted to do because they certainly weren't going to be playing Barbies with me. So, when I had our son, my husband's grandmother even said to me one time, "You're so good with him. You know how to do everything with the cars and the Legos." And I said, well, look what I grew up with. And I'm number 5 out of the 6. So, I had the 4 brothers that tortured me, for many years.
Well, I always found that sisters, and by extension, my, WM's, Marine sisters, were great sources of entertainment. Still to this day, I mean, I can get them to do stuff that they just wouldn't do themselves. So, but you still don't have us figured out. All that.
For the most part.
Okay. All right. Just
And
curious.
just an FYI, I don't mind being called a WM. That's what we were called when I was in. I was active from 92 to 99, and that was what we were called. And although, yes, I am a Marine, I'm also a woman. So, and I am part of the Women Marine Association.
Oh, nice.
So, it doesn't bother me at all to be called a WM.
Well, I did that one time, Bobby, and I'm telling you what, I got a lecture and finger in my face. I said, "Look,
Oh,
when
I'm
I
sure.
when I was in, that is what you were called. So I was served before you, so you can just chill with the attitudes, not disrespectful." So you served and you got out, and then what got you into Irreverent Warriors?
So after our son graduated high school and left to do his Marine Corps thing, my husband and I moved to Chattanooga. We built
Okay.
a house. His parents lived up here as well, so we both built houses on the property. And it wasn't long after we had moved up here, my husband said, "Hey, let's join the Marine Corps League." And I said, "Okay, why not?" Well, we'd probably been in the league for about a year, and I ended up being asked to be the adjutant of our Marine Corps League detachment. And when I went
I wonder
to
why. I wonder why.
I went to the fall Tennessee State Marine Corps League meeting, and that's where I met Andrew. And when he found out our commandant and our sergeant at arms and I were there, he said, "Oh, I'd like to talk to you guys about Irreverent Warriors and the Silky hikes." And, we just he and I just got to chatting. And I had heard about the Silky hikes, like probably back when they almost first started. Being on a lot of veteran pages on Facebook, you see things all do. And he's like, "Great, you can be my coordinator."
He's good like that, right?
Yes, he is. But I love him to death. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, it was just an instant. You're going to be my coordinator. So I was kind of, as fellow Marines, I kind of felt like I was voluntold. But I'm, I'm, I'm happy that I was able to get involved, because that's what I'd really love to do, is get involved with more veteran organizations. And because it's all about helping our brothers and sisters in arms.
Absolutely. And so, it's really, to me, and I kind of want to pick your brain about this. It seems like not only is Irreverent Warriors truly irreverent in many ways, but also you all are trying to do a very different style of veterans advocacy than the strict, building and hierarchical structure and, adherence to a. My point is, you can kind of make this hike what you need it to be for the veterans you serve, it seems like.
Exactly. We don't care what rank you were. We don't care what job you did. It's an unconventional way of networking veterans to bring them together. We've all been there, done that. We may not have all been in combat, but we all signed that dotted line.
Right.
And we all, want to make sure that each other are taken care of. And we want to be there for one another.
What was your first hike like? Because you've been on hikes before you became coordinator and got really involved with this one this year, correct?
Actually, yes and no. So I went on the Fort Lauderdale hike earlier this year. It was the
Okay.
first hike we had of 2020. And I'd already kind of been tapped to be the coordinator, but in order to become leadership, you need to do hikes before you're officially leadership. So my first hike was Fort Lauderdale in February.
What
And
was that like for you?
I don't want to say, not in a bad way, but it was kind of overwhelming, in the sense of you know, seeing the amount of people that were there, seeing the amount of people that already knew each other. Like some of these people had been on so many hikes that, you know, they've, you know, knew personal information that you would never, you know, with an acquaintance, you would never know. I mean, it was just that, you know, some people were, you know, had been on 5, 6, 7 hikes. And so they knew a lot of the people there. So it was kind of overwhelming in a good way to see everybody and see how they, you know, how everybody interacted and honestly, everybody was very welcoming and they were genuine with, you know, how are you doing? You know, this is your first hike, you know, that kind of thing. It's, you know, it was a great experience. And I don't want to say I'm addicted, but I'm a people person in that I like to be with people. And I've been out for 21 years and I miss that camaraderie that I had in the Corps. And I felt, I guess you could say, quote unquote, normal. You know, these were my quote unquote people, you know, kind of thing.
Your tribe.
So yeah, exactly. So it was, it was really an awesome feeling. And, you know, like I said, it was overwhelming, but it was awesome at the same time.
So you go to this hike and you're not the first person to tell me that it was almost like too much. But then when they leave the hike, they realize, I think what you're trying to tell me is you belonged without having to really explain your background in a way that civilians just don't understand.
Exactly.
So you felt like you belonged. It was like windy, because I remember seeing the pictures. I'm like, it looks like it's raining and they're getting wet.
We did get a couple showers that day. It wasn't too bad, but I would say probably by noon, any of the showers that had come through were gone. So the whole afternoon, because I think we stepped off probably around 9:30, and I think we finished up around 5.
Gotcha. Oh, nice. So you do the hike, and then you're like, were you like, I'm in all the way. I'm going to do this Chattanooga thing. I'm going to crush it. Was that the feeling you left with when you left Fort Lauderdale?
Oh, definitely.
So it's my understanding, because Stephanie sent me the requirements to run a hike. And just for you people out there, if you think this is just, hey, we're going to show up at the town square and have a hike, it's not that way, right?
No, it's not.
The manual, when I printed out, was like almost it was thick. A lot of words you had to read and understand.
Yes, definitely.
But is that part of you all's process? Because it seems like you have a lot of freedom, but you must follow the path that they've laid out for you. So
correct.
Okay. So why did they do that like that? Because
we're a nonprofit organization.
Okay.
And, you know, there are specific rules within a nonprofit to begin with, but, you know, it's basically, I know there's the manual is a lot, but in really in the big picture, it's all common sense. But
now, come on.
I know.
Bobbi, you've been with 5 brothers and us male Marines. We don't have common sense for a while, do we?
Well, I guess you could say on the business side is common sense. In the sense of, you know, there's just certain things, certain rules and regulations that you need to follow. And, you know, accountability, you know, finances, merchandise, you know, your hikers, you know, waivers for, you know, whatever you have to do, that kind of thing. And so it just pretty much spells out what we need to do. And although, like I said, you know, it's a pretty thick manual. most 501c3s have these, these same exact types of manuals that, of rules and regulations that you must follow.
So you come away from Fort Lauderdale just energized to do this hike, and you believe in the cause. You go through this and you set it up. What's it been like coming from Fort Lauderdale to this point through COVID-19? Because this isn't even a normal like hike time for you all, because I had talked to Andrew back in February, and it was supposed to be a very different 2020 for IW, but you
Oh,
all had
definitely.
to adjust. So how have you adjusted to getting
Well,
to launch point?
one thing about Chattanooga is when I first approached them about doing the hike, we were told, you have to have a permit, which a lot of cities don't require, but Chattanooga, Hamilton County, they do. So in all honesty, in February is when I contacted them and started the permit process. And then of course, not 2 or 3 weeks later, COVID hit. And it wasn't really until July that I knew for sure that it was going to that we were going to go
Wow.
forward with the hike, because without having that permit, the approval with the permit, I wasn't sure whether we were going to be allowed to. Well, in July, I found out that, the permit was not going to be approved, due to the restrictions within Hamilton County, Chattanooga area. But then I was told, you can go forward with it. You just don't have the ability to, say, request the Chattanooga Police Department to block roads or, And so I figured out that was actually the whole purpose of the permit, was to have those types of assets available to me. We didn't really need the permit to hike in general. So it's been, once I figured that out, it's just, we hit the ground running, and we've just pretty much, we had a plan in place, but we weren't sure exactly, without having that permit, whether we were going to be able to go forward. I have altered it some. I've shortened the route a little bit, just so that, we're not out as long. Hamilton County is one of the counties across the United States that is a mask mandated county. So, I didn't want people to be out hiking, possibly wearing a mask, and it being, an 8-hour day. So we're not required to have them on the whole time we're hiking, but I still just felt that shortening the route just a little bit would be better for everybody in general, in that sense.
So you've overcome that. You're getting ready to hike. Before we go into the hike details, tell me about Chattanooga, because one of the things I find interesting with IW is the community becomes kind of the star of the show, as well as the actual organization, Irreverent Warriors, and the city doing it. But the community kind of stands out too. And, Nashville's different from Fort Lauderdale, which is different from Reno. And Chattanooga might as well be another planet compared to Memphis. So, what's Chattanooga like for someone who's never been there, and why do you like living there?
Chattanooga it's I guess the best way to describe Chattanooga is it's not a big city, but you kind of get that big city feel, but with a smaller area. I'm not sure what our population is, but you still get the country feel around town, because even though downtown it's not a large area, we still have a lot of like Lookout Mountain and the outer lying towns that are very country, and so it's definitely a like a quaint type of area, I guess is how you could describe it.
So just help me out here, because I think of Tennessee. This is just me. I think of Tennessee as a rectangle. In the lower left-hand corner of the rectangle, you have Memphis, and kind of like a third of the way through, you have Nashville, and then let me see if I have my U.S. geography right. Knoxville's in the northeast corner, and Chattanooga is in kind of like the bottom part of Tennessee.
Correct.
On the right side. Wow, that's not very precise, right? Is Chattanooga in the mountains or more in lower lying hill country?
It's more lower lying, but we do have, like areas where it's a little, it's not, I wouldn't want to say large mountains. I lived in Colorado, so it's nothing like that. But, we do have, some areas where it's a little, it's the elevation is a little bit higher.
But very different. Now, I've driven through Memphis several times, but very different from Memphis, very different from Nashville. You might as well be in a different state. And people don't understand just how long Tennessee is. It's not like just,
right.
We're going to get in the car and go to Memphis today from Chattanooga. It's just not that easy.
Yeah, I also lived in Texas, and I feel like from east to west of Tennessee is the same length as the south to north of Texas.
Okay, yeah.
Because I lived in Corpus Christi, and it took me, I'm from Illinois, so anytime I would go home, it would take me about half of my trip was just getting out of Texas. So if you were going,
Texas.
If you were going east to west in Tennessee, that would be, probably a 12-hour trip. Or it seems like it anyway.
It did. I mean, I've been through Memphis several times and then rode my motorcycle across Tennessee, and I'm like, when in the world am I getting out of this state? Oh my God. It just never quit. But
it's a beautiful country.
Yeah, really beautiful. I can't say that enough. This is about the veterans. So what's the veteran population like in Chattanooga?
It's pretty large.
Yeah.
We've got all of our different organizations, VFW, Marine Corps League, Navy League, the American Legion. I'm not quite sure if it's anywhere close to being as large as Nashville, seeing as how Nashville is so much bigger than us. But there is a pretty large veteran community here. And with us being right here at the border of Georgia as well, and at the border of, Alabama, we get a lot of veterans from those areas as well.
Oh, wow. Well, very nice. But I don't want to assume anything, but do those veterans, experience the same kind of challenges, say a veteran in California or even here in New England, experiences? When I say that, I'm talking about, trying to get a job or get training or understand their benefits. And then just, socializing people like them, like as you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Okay, so those challenges are still prevalent.
Yes.
And when you're doing the hike, though, and I'm going to ask this, go back to Fort Lauderdale for just a second. You did the hike and you felt like you were at home with your family. Why is it that Irreverent Warriors seems to be one of the very few orgs that I come across that's really focusing on, we don't care about where you're from or what you've been, what your discharge status is, we just want you to come? Where do you think that comes from, and why is that such a focal point in your outreach?
I think a lot of it has to do with our mission, and which is, bringing veterans together through humor and camaraderie. And there's, like I said, we don't care who you are, what you've done, what service you were in. We just care about the bigger picture of veterans. And, there's, not to talk bad about the VFW or anything. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but, the VFW focuses more on veterans of foreign war.
That's
Irreverent
fact.
Warriors doesn't, because it's just strictly on, veterans. It's focusing on veterans, not just the ones that went to war.
Right.
I guess that's the way you could say it.
Very well. So one of the reasons I'm such a I wouldn't say fan. I've never been on a hike before. That's going to change here very soon. But one of the reasons I'm such a fan is I've watched what IW has done for Andrew and how it's completely changed his life by being involved with IW and forcing him to put himself out there to bring people in and be of service. So my question is, how has IW changed you, even in this short time frame, Bobbi? Has IW, in your mind, changed your approach to things and your outlook on service?
Yes, because I've always wanted to get involved, but didn't know how. Um, you know, and this has kind of brought me out of that shell. Um, like I said earlier, my husband he's actually a retired Marine. Our son is active duty right now, and my husband works overseas half the year. So I'm by myself. Our son is stationed in Japan, and so I'm by myself, at least half of the year. And I've always wanted to get involved with veteran organizations and helping veterans. And this has been honestly one of the best ways for me to get involved with veterans and getting to know other veterans from other communities that I may not have ever come in contact with. So I think it's changed me. It's brought me out of that shell, and it's also given me that way to help veterans.
So by giving of yourself, you get so much more in return, and that
Oh,
becomes
definitely.
good. Good. So, one thing I notice in a lot of people who do the hikes is there is this component of the veterans community, but also the overall, town, community, city that they go in. There's a lot of people in a city that will, who aren't military, haven't served, but will support the work you all do. Is there anything like that for the Chattanooga hike?
Yes, we actually like my volunteers. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Young Marine program
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
under the Marine Corps League. They are actually, our son was actually in the Young Marines when he was younger, and when my husband and I joined the Marine Corps League detachment here in Chattanooga, I got to know the Marine Corps, or the Young Marine commander, and I started volunteering with them as well. So I go out and volunteer at the drills that the kids have, and he's been one of my biggest supporters, the unit commander there. And he was never in the military. However, he supports the police departments, the veterans, any veteran organization. He is there, and he's doing whatever he can to help out. The other big volunteers that I have been the Daughters of the American Revolution here in Chattanooga. And then let's see who else. And then just some other random, civilians that I've actually met through IW that have helped on previous hikes. One particular one, Lauren Couture, she used to live, I guess, in the Raleigh area, and she's helped with the Raleigh hike in the past. So she's, I believe, now lives up near Clarksville, but she helped out down here. She's coming down on Saturday to volunteer for our hike. She's constantly helping out with Nashville with anything that they need. So, there's a lot of civilians out there that do actually want to help as well and get involved and support our mission.
Well, that's important, right? Because I think without civilian support, what you all do doesn't get that far. You need those people in the city hall to
Right.
help you out. You need those sponsors to, understand the mission and either donate financially or through, things as simple as water or food or, whatever.
Just
So
it's just their time,
exactly, which is
because
most.
that's when we get to our lunch stop, when we get there, it's civilians that are going to be there that will have everything set up for us. It's at the water stops. That's who's there is those civilians that are supporting us and being there for whatever we need. And,
So you've gone through Fort Lauderdale, you've gone through COVID-19 getting set up in City Hall. You can't fight City Hall, but you got that figured out. You've gotten all your kind of cats herded in one direction. Very good. I'm very impressed, by the way. That's not easy to do. And, next Saturday, right? The 22nd.
yes, next
right?
Saturday.
I got that right.
Yes.
Is like go day when we're stepping off. How are you feeling leading up to that? Are you getting excited, or what's that like for you?
I am excited. I'm stressed. I'm I I was telling somebody the other day I want to step off the ledge.
but you're here. You're almost there, right?
Yes. I would say I'm more excited than anything.
That's fantastic.
I just, I guess the nervous and stress side of me is I want it perfect for everybody. I know it's not going to be perfect, but that's just, that's the Marine in me. That's the woman in me. That's,
right.
that's
right.
my OCD.
So where are the hike details? And I'm just curious, I see this thing, I get the notification through Facebook or social media. Could I, as a veteran, come down and hike with you all?
Of course. Yeah. There are people that come from every which direction. I know, like, again, going back to like Fort Lauderdale, I just was at Indianapolis in July as well and did their hike. And there were people from, I'm Chattanooga and I went to Indianapolis to do a hike. There are people from the East Coast that go to the West Coast. There are people that are from the West Coast that come to the East Coast to do hikes, in different locations. So yeah, anybody and everybody can go to any hike that they want.
So, it's almost, I haven't told Andrew this, but I'll ask you this, it'd almost be cool to have like, somebody who went to every hike for the year 2020, 2021, get a little IW like seal or something, or I don't know. I think it'd be pretty cool. But the hike details. Now, where is this starting and how long are you hiking?
So the hike is going to be it's just over 6 miles. We're going to start down along the river. We're going to walk along the river walk for a little bit of it.
Okay.
And then kind of go into town from there. Where one specific spot that I felt that we needed to hike is we're going across the Veterans Bridge. I just, with us being veterans and, I just felt that needed to be incorporated into the hike. Then we'll head down towards Coolidge Park, which is named after Charles Coolidge, who is a local Medal of Honor recipient. Oh, wow. And also we'll be stopping by the Medal of Honor Museum on the hike, which is also named after Charles Coolidge. And then just, we'll be going through part of downtown, which will lead us to the park where we're going to eat lunch.
What's that park?
It's Miller Park.
Miller Park, okay. Awesome.
And then from there, we'll head back and so yeah, it's approximately 6 miles.
Oh, for you and me, that was a nature walk, right? That was just a
right.
Just a quick jaunt.
Well, it was supposed to be almost. I believe at the beginning, when we very first did the route, it was supposed to be about 9 miles. But like I said earlier, just with COVID and everything, I felt like we needed to chop it down just a little bit to kind of,
Right.
be able to abide by the rules that Hamilton County is put in place, but also still be able to have a good time. And I mean, a 6-mile hike is a pretty decent hike.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. So is there a website or, Facebook page people can find you all and stay in
So
touch?
the main website is irreverentwarriors.com.
Okay.
On that website, you'll find every hike that we have available. And once you go to that website, all you do is click on the city that you want to go to the hike, and it'll lead you to Eventbrite, which is who we do the signups through.
So there's no excuse. I'm going to have the link in the Oscar Mike Radio show post, so you can check out the Chattanooga hike. This is going to be very cool.
And just about most hikes have Instagram pages. They've got Facebook pages. You can find us everywhere. I'm sure a lot of them have Twitter and everything else too. Snapchat, or I guess, I don't know.
Well, I've seen your Facebook page. I've seen your Facebook page. There's some pretty cool pictures in it. I'll have that linked in the show post as well, Bobbi.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, I have had a fantastic time talking with you. I really enjoyed getting to learn about IW last year with Andrew, and then February meeting Mama Bear and talking with Stephanie. And I really like the fact that, women veterans are being not only allowed, but encouraged to take leadership and keep some of us guys in line. I know we can be kind of a handful sometimes, but I think we need that balance there. I think we need that balance there, and it's just nice to see it. So I really appreciate you coming on and talking with me. Nothing but success for your hike next weekend, and I look forward to meeting you in person one day.
Thanks, Travis. I appreciate it. And yes, I definitely hope to see you at a hike, especially a Tennessee hike.
Well, that is happening. If everything works out all right, I'll be at the Nashville hike in September. So,
awesome. Awesome. I'll be there.
We'll see if my state allows its citizenry to leave. We run a little bit differently up here, unfortunately. So,
right. Yeah, I've heard.
It's what it is. But folks,
right.
This is number 204, part 1 of my Irreverent Warriors Tennessee series. Really thankful to Andrew Farr for getting me in contact with Bobbi Smith-Taylor, U.S. Marine Corps veteran, and the coordinator for Irreverent Warriors Chattanooga. Go to irreverentwarriors.com to find out more. Bobbi, thank you so much again for coming on Oscar Mike Radio.
Thanks, Travis. I appreciate it.
As we say in Oscar Mike Radio, we are mission in flight. Stay tuned for more, and we are locked through lunch.